headache getting our colleagues to actually strap them down and actually make them teach, but the results are worth it. So we understand that students learn best by doing, and first and foremost puts the students at the heart of everything we do.
Thank you, Carol, for that. Personalities on the days who are so fantastic. The journeys have been incredible. Our chief guest, as you know, needs no introduction, and I did get a little bit of the net, and I tried to condense it, so it's just about 6 pages. Bharat Ke Shaheed and Gumrah with Reena Roy and Danny. Then he turned himself to film writing in 73 and sold various scripts to leading directors like Prakash of that time, like Prakash Meher and Dulal Guha. Only that film has a stamp either.
To share my views, and to be here, to know that this kind of professional school with a lot of depth, knowledge and experience are happening now. And I have always been professing for so many years that India needs minimum 1,000 students, 1,000 institutes all over India. If we have to raise the standard of thinking, mentality, civilizations, culture, and which we are suffering all the time. And I'm very happy to be here with you. And I always thought, for a change, Mr. Naseeruddin Shah will speak first and then I will copy him. But he has given me the responsibility to talk about it. Well, I think we all know what education means. And we all know that how media education is so important in today's terms, when the communication has become so easy, from king to pauper, a poor man to prime minister, you can communicate. But what you want to communicate? Media is a device, and we are having tools, technology, which we are training students here. But what we are communicating is the most important part of our education. This is what I always feel. What is the content? What is the thought? What is the philosophy behind it? Is more important than the tools. Technology and tools will always happen and come. Hamesha, they will always give you surprise. Whether my mother was writing me a 5 pages letter to me, which I used to preserve and used to read twice, and used to get the best of the things from her and uplift my life. Now I'm getting SMS from my daughter and my wife. You see, that I feel that she is too restless and so quick to tell me anything in 140 words and 200 words. So what I feel the technology has brought us to the easy and fastest communication, but what we are losing is the soul part of it. You see, and that we have every teacher, every school must keep this in mind, that we are responsible not to teach only the technology, on the best of technology and with facilities or tools. We have to build them as a human of that kind, which is, we call it an ideal man. So unless and until we build them up as a person, how they should think, they should not depend on the technology. Most important thing is not a knowledge. Most important thing is intelligence and wisdom and spirituality. For most important thing is the soul. Even I perform, Naseeruddin performs. Why he is the greatest actor today? Because he performs through soul. They are more handsome and they are taller people than him. But when he performs, he performs. Right? Yes. And why I am a super hit director? Because I perform through soul. Yes. Thank you. It's a mutual admiration society we have. Nasir happens to be my junior from Pune Film Institute, so we are friends and we love each other. And trust me, I cannot forget when I have formed an institute, set up an institute like Whistling Woods, and I'm proud of it. more than whatever movies I made, good, bad, ugly. And I'm more proud of that I have established and set up an institute. And it would be with that quality that Naseer was the first person. He was the first person to support me when the building was under construction, and I brought him there. And he said, well, this is called a real beginning. This is called a real attempt, and I'm going to do that. And he set up our acting studio, acting classes, and he devoted his time for 3 years constantly. And he did not charge a single rupees. Can you beat that? In spite of me being a rich. So when such people come, bring such people to your institute, bring people who are meaningful, who understand the importance of this kind of genuine training. Let us not make a mushroom school just for money, You are responsible for you are the real architect of the next generation. When you say the younger generation is architect of India, but you are the architect of the younger generation. How you develop them? I always blame teachers. I always blame institution and education system for what we are facing today. Whether in the terms of politics or in terms of communication or journalism or parliament or whatever is situation today we are facing is because of the very defective education we have been brought up. We have never been told the right things. Anything basic thing you need to read. We have today 2 lakhs unemployable MBAs in the industry. They have a diploma on degrees, but the bosses of the company says that we have interviewed them. They are not employable, they can't communicate. I cannot give them job at the risk of my company. They have degrees and diploma, but they can't stand any question. They can't face any kind of crisis. They can't solve any problem. They have solved only those 6 questions in their exam and passed out. That's it. They don't know the 7th question. So this is our responsibility as an institute. Teachers or whatever institution or a management, that we are responsible for his bringing up. It's like that you are the parents, at least you are educated parents. You are not emotional parents who will accept every weakness of his child and ask him to grow the way he wants to grow. So you have and we have more responsibilities towards our children. And I'm sure that looking into the quality of the faculty members and dean here, you are also joining us the same way, the way we are also trying at Naseeruddin. And I wish you all the best. Anything from me, my side, from Naseer's side, I can tell you, we are always there to be with you, to guide, to participate, or give suggestions, except money. Thank you.
Naseeruddin Shah.
I thought I was going to surprise Carol with the interview story. I thought she might have forgotten it. I remember it very well. The fact that I had a butter chicken and a tandoori roti, I also remember. She probably had only a lemonade or something. But what I have carried from that interview, it was one of the first I had done, I think, one film at that time. This was 75, 76. Nishant and Junoon. And what I do remember is the compassion with which Carol asked me the questions and the attentiveness with which she listened to the answers. I have to say that in the next 39 years of giving tiresome interviews, I have probably never come across that kind of an attitude in an interviewer again, which I think is a terrible thing. A lot of the time you're being asked a question and the interviewer is fiddling around with a slip of paper somewhere, not even listening to what you're saying, nodding in an automatic manner. So that's about the only thing that I can say, which would, to my mind, be the requirement of a good journalist. Now, obviously one can't expect a journalist to get involved with every single person he interviews, like you can't expect a doctor to get involved with every single patient he treats. But the doctor may not get emotionally involved, but at least he's attentive. that is a quality I find lacking in a lot of the journalists who pursue their professions in our country and are only a lot of the time waiting for the apt line. Anyway, this is not an occasion to go into a litany of complaints against the quality of journalism in our country. It's an occasion for celebration, and it's an occasion of joy and wonder. When I was a student in school, I was very poor in class. I have no embarrassment at all about confessing that. And I wanted to be an actor from the time I was 14 years old, nothing else ever, but I had no clue how one goes about being an actor. So I did consider, well, maybe I can be a newsreader on the radio. There wasn't even any television then. Maybe I could be a journalist. And there was nowhere that one could go. There was no one could seek advice from on how does one go about. Of course, the thought of being a painter or being a sculptor or a cartoonist or something is even more far out than that. I remember, in fact, I wrote letters to the Hindustan, to the Times of India and the Statesman, which were the two leading papers in those days, saying I'm a student who wants to be a journalist and where can I study to be a journalist. And of course I got no reply from any of those papers. They probably didn't, I don't know if they even received those letters. Though when I did write a couple of angry letters about the public school system, those did get published. So I think they decided to ignore my pleas about wanting to become a journalist. They probably had enough such requests. This will connect to the fact of my happiness at being here, present here today among so many aspiring journalists and media people. That when I was a student at the National School of Drama in Delhi, I had to travel home to meet my parents. When my sons say the very same thing to me now, it doesn't feel so good. But the fact is, I did have to. And they lived in Dehradun, so I had to do the journey by train, the glorious Dehradun Express, which takes almost a day to get from Delhi to Dehradun. And of course, on any train journey in India, the person sitting next to you feels obliged to inquire about your entire family. And having found out all that, he wants to know, what do you do? So when I was asked this question, I would debate with myself, should I say I'm doing a BA, should I say I'm studying SNC? And then I'd say, no, the hell with it, I'd come out with the fact and I'd say I'm studying in the National School of Drama. Huh? Would be the reaction. Kha? National School of Drama. Sir? Drama का भी स्कूल होता है? क्या सिखाते हैं वहाँ पे? So after a few bouts of this, I just decided to say, I'm doing my MA at Hindu College. And that was the end of the conversation. So, thanks be to heaven, and thanks be to the people who dedicated themselves to making sure that media work, whether journalism, reporting, whether news reading, whether acting, filmmaking, editing, whatever it is no longer in the realm of a fantasy. It has become real, and this is something which I have been trying to tell young actors for years, that when I was 14, I decided I wanted to be an actor because I saw the other kids in my class deciding they wanted to be engineers, or they wanted to be doctors, or they wanted to join the army, or and so on, and started preparing for it. So I thought, well, why can't I decide now and start preparing for it? And of course I received no help, so I do take the credit for doing a lot of it on my own, but now there is a lot of help available. There is advice available. There are examples in front of you. There are institutions which are willing to answer your inquiries. It's a great situation. Yeah, I'd like to spout the cliche, oh, to be young again, you know. Youth is wasted on the young, that's a fact. So I really wish that when I was a student and when I was hoping to become a journalist, a place such as the St. Paul's Institute for Communication Education had existed, and I could have come here. Well, there was no time machine available at that in those days. There still isn't. But I wish I wish the institute well. Obviously, I wish the students have a great time here. And I'd like to add something to what Subhash ji said about the unemployable MBAs, the people who go around carting their degrees, but who cannot answer a simple question. To those who come here, and to the instructors too, I'd say this. Do not feel that you've learned everything in the 6 months or the 9 months that you're going to spend here. Remember that you're only being able to learn the alphabet while you're here. To use a much tired phrase, your education will continue through your life, and the real learning will only happen on the job. And it is really true that any kind of education imparted to you kicks in years and years and years later. The stuff that one was taught in physics and chemistry begins to make sense to me now, 50 years after I was taught it, and it put me to sleep in class. So that's very important. Please do not make the mistake of a number of film institutes who encourage the creative people to think of themselves as the final authority and the final word and as creative geniuses. You're not. A genius, as everybody has said, is 99% perspiration. So if you want to be a genius, go ahead and shed that 99% perspiration. But don't ever apply the label to yourself. And remember that you cannot write a book unless you know the alphabet. You cannot compose a piece of music unless you can read music, unless you know music, unless it's in your veins. You cannot make a great movie unless you know the basic grammar of the job. And the trouble is, with a lot of film students, before they know the grammar, before they know the alphabet, they are intent on producing masterpieces of cosmic importance. It's important for you young creative people to deal with the issues which matter to you, rather than to prove to the world how intelligent you are. Whether you are intelligent or not is something the world will judge in posterity. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your patience.
You're part of the journey with us too. Our journey continues, my friends, as Naseeruddin said, that the journey doesn't end at any point, but it keeps on growing. Our interaction with our guests is definitely going to continue. We thank them for being with us here. May I please request Father Thomas MJ, who is the acting provincial of the Society of St. Paul, to step up to the dais and felicitate our guests with mementos. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. We'd like to thank Mr. Bhatt for being here with us. Our guest of honor, Mr. Naseeruddin Shah. Thank you, sir, for being so very special. We'd also like to request Father Thomas to present one more memento, and that is to Brajesh Chai, Director of Brick Design Group. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot thank our chief guest and guest of honor enough for the time that they spent with us. Their few words and they're just, their views and opinions matter so much, and especially for those of you just stepping in the world of media. However, I'd like to request Father Saiju, Director Spikes, to step up to the dais and formally thank our guests and each and every one of you.
On behalf of St. Paul's
or a film. In this case, it's Spice. A big round of applause to Spice for this new initiative. And of course, to the iconic Subhash Ghai. A big round of applause, sir. Once again, thank you for being with us here. And the incredible Mr. Naseeruddin Shah, ladies and gentlemen. How fortunate are we today?